Hello, I hope you are doing well. So ever since I started teaching, I've always wanted to get a dream job. And my dream job will be teaching subjects like biology because I have experience teaching biology, integrated science for the same reason, environmental science because I have a degree in environmental science, and teaching in an IB World School because I believe the IB framework is something that suits personality well, and then with benefits like a decent salary and some fringe benefits such as my children going to school for free in terms of tuition, and then getting some allowances such as flight allowance. So I've been looking for this kind of dream job for a very long time, and I think I got one here in Indonesia. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I got my dream job here in Jakarta. Let's get started. Step one, you need to be adequately prepared for these jobs in these top tier or elite international schools. 3 years ago, I learned the hard way that without a teaching license, it would be very difficult or nearly impossible for me to enter into a real international school. I interviewed with a school in South Korea, and the principal who interviewed me back then thought I was a very good candidate for the position. However, I wasn't having a teaching license back then. He wrote to the immigration to ask if it is possible for them to grant me a work permit and work visa looking at my qualifications and experience. And the immigration replied that despite my so many years of experience and qualifications, without a teaching license, they can't give me a work permit and work visa to come and work in South Korea. So I advised myself to get a US teacher license, and I got a license in May 2024, and in August 2024, 3 months after getting the license, I got this job. So in terms of preparations, you will need a bachelor's degree, preferably in education and in the subject area you intend teaching. Let's say if you want to teach science, B.Ed science will suffice. If you do not have a B.Ed as your bachelor's, a BSc will do, plus a PGC or an M.Ed. I have an M.Ed in science education, and I have another master's in educational technology, and some other qualifications because I have the US teacher license. One thing I realized with this particular job is when I read the job descriptions, they made mention that if you do not have a teaching license from some specified countries, they can't call you for an interview. And luckily, a teaching license from a US was something they considered very high. So I was called to the interview, and eventually I landed the job. So this is how I prepared for the job: my bachelor's degree, my master's, my years of experience, and the US teacher license. I use scroll.com a lot, and if you follow me on this channel, you know that I've always been talking about scroll.com. So around July 2024, I was on scroll.com looking for, ideal jobs, preferably my dream job. And I came across this job position in my current school, a high school biology teacher. Like the job is starting in January 2025. So I just applied for the job. And interestingly, I didn't even write an application letter. On scroll.com, some of the jobs are made in such a way that to apply for the job, you just have to click a button to express your interest. So I just clicked a button and I expressed my interest. And yeah, just like I've been doing, I just applied and then forgot about it. I think about 4 weeks later, I received an email from the high school principal telling me that they thought my qualifications and experiences fit to this position or the candidate they are looking for. So they would like to have me for the first round of interviews. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I went for the first interview, and I did the first interview with the high school principal and the head of science. So before the interview, I did a research about the school and wrote down some few points about, some unique things with respect to this school. And I know this is some arsenal I'm going with to this interview. I've had so many interviews in the past, and I know when you mention things that are unique to the schools you are interviewing with, it gives them the impression that you are really interested in their school. And that is exactly what I did. They didn't specifically ask me why I wanted to work with them, but some of the questions they asked me I framed my answers to include this point for them to understand that I've already researched about the school. And one thing that I mentioned that I think made them remember they interviewed David Wilson was that this current school, my current school, they admit students irrespective of their academic achievements or their academic abilities. Something I thought was very unique to this school. So I answered one of the questions and incorporated this point about the school. And I think that is one thing I did during the interview that endeared me to the high school principal and the head of science during the first round of interviews. The questions were normal international school interview questions, but I need you to understand that most of these questions will require that you think on the spot, because some of the questions may probably be things you are not doing in the classroom, but it is something you would have to, craft your answers carefully for them to understand that you are a witty person and, you can really think on the spot. So yeah, I answered the questions satisfactorily, I guess. And of course, I spoke about myself. The first question they asked, tell us about yourself. And when you're answering this question, I would advise you stick to your qualifications that are relevant to the positions you are interviewing for. The experiences you have that are relevant to the position you are interviewing for. So yeah, that is exactly what I did. I mentioned my experience in Ghana, my experiences in the different schools that I taught at in Vietnam, and of course the subject areas that I taught. And I was passed on to the principal or the whole school principal for the second interview. During the second interview, that is my interview with the whole school principal, he asked me so many questions related to the IB curriculum, related to teaching biology, related to classroom management, and related to ability to inspire the students. And he asked me a question about my social media, why I do my social media, and how come I have so many followers. At the time I was interviewing with him, I had about 120,000 followers on TikTok. So I explained that when I started researching about international teaching and international education, I didn't know of anybody out there who was putting out information about what it takes to teach internationally. So I took it upon myself to put out this information because I think this information or teaching internationally has the ability to change the lives of people positively. And so far, so good. I've had so many people who have watched my videos, and it has helped them turn their life around for the better. So I told him this, and his response was like, over his 30 years of teaching and management experience, he's never heard that answer, and he really appreciates me for doing that. He asked me so many questions, but I think the answer I gave to this question is one of the things that stood out for them, and of course that made me get this job. So yeah, basically I'll just tell you that whatever you are doing, especially if whatever you are doing has an impact in the lives of people, continue to do it. And if it looks like you are doing something different, never apologize for being different, because you never know who you inspire. So after the interview with the whole school principal, I think 2 days after, I received an email asking me if it is okay for them to go ahead and have a chat with one of my referees. And I'm like, they can go ahead. And the person they spoke with, my referee they spoke with, is someone I worked with in my first school in Vietnam and my last school in Vietnam. So he's someone who really knows me, and I'm proud to say that he sees me as somebody who is trustworthy, somebody who is reliable when it comes to teaching. So I wasn't scared at all putting him on my CV as one of my referees. And before I even went on the call with them, he asked me some of the things he should say. I'm like, you know me better, so you just be truthful. And he went ahead and then I think they had about 45 minutes chat. And I think my referee did a very great job. So Carl Davis, I really appreciate Carl. I know you know how much I appreciate you as a colleague, as a friend. But yeah, you are part of my journey, and I think it is appropriate I mention your name here. So Carl Davis, thank you very much for the reference you gave me. So yeah, they had a chat with Carl, and yeah, That was, I think, the last part of the recruitment process. After some weeks, I got an email one Saturday morning from the principal asking me for a very short chat on Google Meet. So I went on the Google Meet that Saturday morning, and it was like they are really impressed with my responses and they think I will be a huge source of inspiration and I'll be a huge asset to their school. So he wants to find out if I'm ready to take up the job and start in January 2025. You can just imagine how fast I said yes. And in fact, seriously, after that call that Saturday morning, I shed tears of joy. So this is how I got my dream job here in Indonesia. And I've been here for the past 6 weeks. And I would say that I made the right choice. Because when it comes to you being included in the day-to-day affairs of your teaching, of management in the school, you will feel very valued. And maybe in another video, I'll talk to you about my life here as a teacher in this real international school. So basically, this is how I got my job here in Indonesia. I don't know what you think about this video, but I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you found value in this video, I would appreciate you like, you subscribe, you click the notification button so whenever I upload, you get notified. Until my next video, you take care. Bye-bye. Peace.